What if your soul's eternal destination isn't random, but already determined by your current level of consciousness? According to Edgar Cayce, the most documented and verified psychic in American history, the universe is not a place of chaos. It is a vast and orderly spiritual system where every soul either ascends or remains stuck based on its unique vibrational frequency. Through more than 14,000 trance readings, Cayce revealed something extraordinary. After leaving the physical body, the soul enters a specific spiritual realm, one that precisely mirrors its level of inner evolution. Not the traditional heaven or hell we've been taught, but 7 distinct spiritual planes, each corresponding to a different state of consciousness. Have you ever wondered why some people remain trapped in cycles of suffering, while others radiate peace, wisdom, and clarity? The revelations Cayce accessed from the Akashic records explain this, and more importantly, guide you toward positive transformation and renewed faith. In this video, we'll explore Edgar Cayce's profound insights into the nature of the spiritual realms and discover which one your soul may be heading toward. You'll learn the energetic signature of each plane, how karma shapes your soul's journey, and the one powerful practice Cayce said can instantly raise your spiritual frequency. Spiritual evolution is not just a personal journey, it's a cosmic movement. And perhaps from this very moment, your destiny is about to shift in a whole new direction. Right now, in this very moment, your soul is already aligned with a specific spiritual realm, not by chance, but based entirely on your current level of consciousness. According to Edgar Cayce, America's most respected and extensively documented psychic, your spiritual trajectory isn't a mystery, it's a system that Cayce uncovered in over 14,000 trance readings, all carefully preserved and studied at the Association for Research and Enlightenment in Virginia Beach. In 1923, during one of his deepest trance states, Cayce startled his stenographer when he began describing 7 distinct spiritual planes, each one representing a unique vibrational frequency where souls reside between lifetimes. But he didn't just name these realms, he mapped out the criteria that determine exactly which level your soul can access. And more importantly, he explained how you can raise your frequency now while still in your physical body. Here's the shocking truth. In one of his most haunting readings from the mid-1920s, Cayce revealed that the vast majority of people are completely unaware that they are functioning from the lowest possible spiritual frequency. He called it the material consciousness realm, a plane dominated by ego, greed, fear, and attachment. Souls stuck here often reincarnate hundreds of times, repeating the same patterns, never realizing that they're trapped in a spiritual feedback loop. But what Cayce uncovered next was even more disturbing. In 1932, during a reading for a well-known businessman, something unprecedented happened. Cayce's voice changed mid-session, adopting what witnesses described as an otherworldly tone. In either that moment, he revealed that the man's soul had been cycling through the same spiritual plane for over 800 years. Why? Because in every incarnation, he made the same core mistake of consciousness, refusing to surrender control, choosing fear over love, pride over humility. His stenographer, Gladys Davis, later wrote in her notes that she had never seen Cayce so visibly shaken during a reading. When Cayce awoke, he had no memory of what had just occurred, but the message was clear. This soul was spiritually stuck, and Cayce had just glimpsed a terrifying truth about how deep the soul's stagnation can go. This changes everything. Most people assume that living many lifetimes naturally leads to spiritual growth. Cayce's readings prove otherwise. Repetition without awareness is not evolution, it's entrapment. He documented countless cases of souls reincarnating for millennia, yet still lingering in the first spiritual realm, never advancing because they never awakened to the lessons of love, service, and spiritual responsibility. The key? Conscious elevation. The choice to break free begins with awareness. Cayce believed that every soul has the power to rise, but only if it recognizes where it is now. Let me paint you a picture of what Cayce saw when he looked into the Akashic records, that cosmic library where every soul's journey is recorded. Imagine 7 towering levels of consciousness, each one representing a different frequency of spiritual awareness. At the bottom, you have what Cayce called the earthbound consciousness. Souls so attached to material desires, fear, and ego that they create their own spiritual prison. Here's what's truly shocking about this lowest realm. In one of his most documented cases, Cayce described souls who had been stuck there since ancient Atlantis, over 12,000 years ago. These weren't evil people. They were ordinary individuals who simply never learned to transcend their basic human impulses. They kept choosing comfort over growth, fear over love, and ego over service. But here's where it gets absolutely mind-blowing. Cayce revealed that these trapped souls don't even realize they're stuck. They believe they're making spiritual progress because they're going through the motions of earthly life, working, loving, struggling, dying, and being reborn. But their consciousness never actually evolves. They're like spiritual zombies, unconsciously, repeating the same patterns lifetime after lifetime. Now, before you start panicking about your own spiritual level, let me share something that will give you hope. In 1944, just 1 year before his death, Cayce gave what many consider his most important reading about consciousness evolution. A woman from New York asked him directly, "How can I know which spiritual realm I'm operating from?" Cayce's answer was so profound that it's been studied by metaphysical researchers for 8 decades. He said that every human being receives constant signs about their spiritual frequency, but most people are too distracted by material concerns to notice them. These signs come through dreams, sudden insights, inexplicable coincidences, and what he called soul promptings. Those moments when you know something is true, even though you can't explain why. But wait, there's a specific test Cayce gave that can reveal your exact spiritual level right now. In one of his most practical readings, he outlined what he called the consciousness mirror technique. This isn't some abstract meditation practice. It's a practical method that takes less than 5 minutes and will show you exactly which spiritual realm your soul is currently accessing. Here's how it works, and I want you to try this right after reading this. Cayce said that when you encounter someone who triggers strong negative emotions in you, anger, jealousy, judgment, or fear, you're actually looking at a reflection of your own unhealed consciousness. The intensity of your reaction reveals your spiritual frequency. If you react with immediate anger or judgment, you're operating from the first realm, material consciousness. If you feel compassion mixed with understanding, you're accessing higher frequencies. But if you can see that person as a soul having a human experience just like you, and feel genuine love for their journey, you're operating from what Cayce called the Christ consciousness, the highest spiritual realm accessible while in physical form. This technique is so accurate that Cayce used it to determine which souls were ready for advanced spiritual teachings and which ones needed to focus on basic consciousness work first. The results were always spot on. Now, let me tell you about something that will absolutely blow your mind about spiritual evolution. In 1936, Cayce was asked to do a reading for a woman who claimed she had lived in Atlantis. Most people expected him to dismiss this as fantasy. Instead, Cayce not only confirmed her past life, but revealed something that changed everything we know about consciousness development. He explained that souls who lived during Atlantis had access to spiritual technologies and levels of consciousness that modern humans can barely comprehend. But here's the shocking part. Many of these advanced souls chose to incarnate in our current time period, specifically to help humanity make a massive evolutionary leap. Cayce revealed that between 1900 and 2000, thousands of these Atlantean souls would be born with intact memories of higher consciousness levels. Their mission? To anchor higher spiritual frequencies on Earth and teach others how to access these elevated realms. This means that some people walking among us right now are operating from consciousness levels that are thousands of years more advanced than the average human. They're not here by accident. They're here on a spiritual mission to help our entire planet evolve to the next level. But here's what's even more incredible. Cayce said that any soul, regardless of their current spiritual level, can accelerate their consciousness evolution dramatically by understanding and applying what he called the universal laws of spiritual development. In one of his most comprehensive readings on consciousness, he outlined 5 specific practices that can move a soul from the lowest spiritual realm to the highest in a single lifetime. These aren't religious rituals or complex ceremonies. They're practical applications of consciousness that anyone can implement immediately. The first law is what Cayce called service above self. But this isn't just about volunteering or helping others. He meant something much deeper. Every decision you make, from what you eat for breakfast to how you respond to criticism, either serves your ego or serves your soul's evolution. Souls, trapped in lower realms, consistently choose ego gratification. Evolved souls consistently choose actions that elevate consciousness. But wait, here's where Cayce's teachings get really practical for modern Americans. In one of his most insightful readings about material wealth, he addressed the biggest obstacle facing spiritual seekers in the 20th and 21st centuries: the illusion that material success equals spiritual advancement. Cayce revealed that many souls actually regress spiritually when they achieve material success because they mistake financial abundance for spiritual achievement. He saw countless souls in his readings who had been more spiritually evolved in previous lifetimes when they lived in poverty than they were in their current wealthy incarnations. This doesn't mean money is evil. It means that how you relate to material success determines your spiritual frequency. If your wealth serves your spiritual mission and helps others evolve, it elevates your consciousness. If it serves your ego and separates you from others, it traps you in lower spiritual realms. The second universal law Cayce revealed is thought as creative force. In one of his most profound teachings on consciousness, he explained that most humans have no idea they're constantly creating their spiritual reality through their thought patterns. Every thought you think is either raising or lowering your spiritual frequency. Here's the shocking part that most spiritual teachers don't tell you. Cayce discovered that positive thinking alone isn't enough to elevate your consciousness. In fact, he found that some souls had been using positive thinking to avoid dealing with their shadow aspects, which actually kept them stuck in spiritual limbo. True consciousness evolution requires what Cayce called purification through truth. This means facing your darkness honestly, accepting your human flaws completely, and loving yourself anyway. Only then can you access the higher spiritual realms where genuine transformation happens. The third law is healing as spiritual service. But Cayce didn't just mean physical healing. In one of his most revolutionary insights about consciousness, he revealed that every healed aspect of yourself automatically heals the same aspect in others, even people you've never met. This is because all consciousness is connected at the deepest level. When you heal your fear, you reduce fear in the collective human consciousness. When you heal your anger, you make it easier for others to release their anger. When you heal your shame, you help free humanity from the shame that keeps our entire species trapped in lower spiritual frequencies. This means that your personal spiritual work isn't just about your individual evolution. You're literally helping to evolve human consciousness itself. Every time you choose love over fear, forgiveness over resentment, or truth over illusion, you're pulling our entire planet toward higher spiritual realms. But here's something that will completely change how you view your spiritual journey. In 1942, Cayce gave a reading that revealed the single most important factor determining which spiritual realm a soul can access. It wasn't their good deeds, their meditation practice, or even their level of spiritual knowledge. It was their capacity for genuine forgiveness. Cayce explained that forgiveness is the master key that unlocks every higher spiritual realm. But not the kind of forgiveness most people practice, where you forgive someone, while still holding on to subtle resentment or moral superiority. He meant what he called Christ-like forgiveness, where you completely release the need for anyone to be different than they are. This level of forgiveness is so rare that Cayce encountered it in less than 1% of the souls he read for. Most people think they've forgiven when they've simply suppressed their anger or decided to be the bigger person. True forgiveness requires seeing through the illusion of separation and recognizing that everyone is doing their best from their current level of consciousness. Here's a documented case that will show you exactly what this looks like. In 1938, Cayce did a reading for a woman whose husband had abandoned her and their 3 children for his secretary. She was consumed with rage and wanted to know if he would be punished in his next lifetime. Cayce's response shocked everyone in the room. He explained that her husband's actions were actually serving her soul's evolution by forcing her to choose between victim consciousness and spiritual mastery. If she could find genuine forgiveness for him, not because he deserved it, but because forgiveness would free her soul, she would make a quantum leap in spiritual development. The woman spent 2 years working with Cayce's guidance. When she finally achieved true forgiveness, she didn't just feel better emotionally. According to follow-up readings, her consciousness had evolved from the 2nd spiritual realm to the 5th realm, a jump that normally takes multiple lifetimes to achieve. But here's the most incredible part of this story. 3 months after she achieved genuine forgiveness, her ex-husband called her out of the blue. He had experienced what he described as a spiritual awakening and wanted to make amends. He had no idea she had been working on forgiveness, yet her consciousness shift had somehow triggered his own spiritual evolution. This is what Cayce meant when he said that healing yourself heals others. Consciousness operates beyond the limitations of time and space. When you genuinely evolve spiritually, everyone connected to you, including people from past lifetimes, feels the shift and is given an opportunity to evolve as well. Now, let me share with you the 4th universal law that Cayce revealed: death as conscious transition. Most people think death is something that happens to them. Cayce's readings prove that death is something you participate in based on your level of consciousness. In one of his most illuminating readings about the afterlife, he described how souls who have developed higher consciousness can actually choose their death experience. They can remain aware during the transition, maintain their memories and personality, and even guide their own reincarnation process. But souls operating from lower spiritual realms experience death as trauma and confusion. They often don't even realize they've died and may spend decades in what Cayce called earthbound states, stuck between physical and spiritual dimensions, because their consciousness is too dense to access higher realms. This is why spiritual development isn't just about improving your current life. It's about preparing for conscious death and intentional rebirth. Every moment you spend developing higher consciousness is an investment in your eternal soul's journey. The 5th and final universal law Cayce revealed is time is illusion. In one of his most mind-bending readings about consciousness, he explained that souls operating from higher spiritual realms can access what he called eternal now consciousness, a state where past, present, and future exist simultaneously. This sounds abstract, but it has practical implications that will change how you live your life. When you develop this level of consciousness, you stop being driven by past regrets or future anxieties. You become completely present, which allows you to access the infinite creative power that exists only in the now moment. Cayce demonstrated this consciousness himself during his readings. He could access information from any time period, see probable futures, and even communicate with souls who had never been in physical form. This wasn't a special gift he was born with. It was a level of consciousness he developed through applying these same spiritual laws I'm sharing with you. But here's something that will absolutely transform your understanding of spiritual evolution. In 1943, Cayce gave a reading that revealed the true purpose of human incarnation on Earth. We're not here to escape the physical realm or transcend human experience. We're here to bring heaven to earth by anchoring higher consciousness in physical form. This means that the goal isn't to evolve beyond humanity, but to evolve humanity itself. Every soul who achieves higher consciousness while in physical form makes it easier for others to do the same. We're literally creating a new template for human potential. Cayce saw that by the year 2012, enough souls would have achieved higher consciousness that humanity as a whole would begin operating from elevated spiritual frequencies. He predicted that children born after this time would incarnate with natural access to psychic abilities, deeper spiritual wisdom, and an innate understanding of their soul's purpose. Looking around at the current generation of young people, we can see evidence that Cayce's prediction is coming true. These souls aren't interested in the same material pursuits that drove previous generations. They're naturally drawn to consciousness, exploration, environmental healing, and authentic spiritual connection. But here's the most important revelation from all of Cayce's readings about spiritual evolution. Your current level of consciousness isn't fixed. Every moment presents an opportunity to choose thoughts, words, and actions that elevate your spiritual frequency. The question isn't which spiritual realm you're currently operating from. The question is, which realm do you want to access next? And what are you willing to do to get there? In one of his most practical teachings about spiritual development, Cayce gave the simplest and most powerful technique for accelerating spiritual evolution. Every night before sleep, ask your soul to show you one specific way you can serve love more completely the next day. Then pay attention to the opportunities that present themselves. This practice alone, done consistently, can move you from the lowest spiritual realm to the highest in a matter of months rather than lifetimes. Why? Because it aligns your conscious mind with your soul's evolutionary impulse. But remember, spiritual evolution isn't about becoming perfect or transcending your humanity. It's about becoming more authentically yourself, the divine being you truly are beneath all the conditioning and programming. Your soul chose to incarnate at this exact time in history because you have something unique to contribute to humanity's evolutionary leap. The spiritual realm you're destined for isn't determined by your past mistakes or current limitations. It's determined by your willingness to keep choosing love, truth, and service in each moment. Edgar Cayce's 14,000 readings all point to the same profound truth. You are not a human being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. And the quality of that experience, including which spiritual realm you'll access after death, is being determined by every choice you make right now. So here's my challenge for you. Take the consciousness mirror test I described earlier. Notice your reactions to people who trigger you. Use those reactions as a GPS system, showing you exactly where your consciousness needs to evolve next. Practice genuine forgiveness, not because others deserve it, but because your soul deserves the freedom it brings. Serve others, not to get spiritual points, but because service is the natural expression of higher consciousness. And most importantly, remember that you're not on this spiritual journey alone. Every soul who has ever lived is connected to you through the same cosmic consciousness that Edgar Cayce accessed in his readings. When you evolve, we all evolve. When you heal, we all heal. When you choose love, you make it easier for everyone else to choose love too. The spiritual realm you'll inhabit isn't just about your individual destiny. It's about the collective future of human consciousness itself. And that future is being written by every choice you make today. Before you go, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. Remember, you are more powerful than you know, more loved than you can imagine, and more needed than you might believe. Your spiritual evolution matters not just for you, but for all of humanity. Keep choosing love, keep seeking truth, and keep serving the highest good. Your soul and our collective future depend on it. What did you think about today's video? Feel free to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Thank you for watching. If this video opened your mind or helped you see reality in a new light, don't forget to like and subscribe to Top Hidden Knowledge. so you never miss our next deep dive into mystery, perception, and the hidden workings of our universe. And, if you have time, explore more videos on our channel. We're just getting started. Until next time, stay curious, stay aware, and never stop questioning the world around you.